Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Blue Dragon 5 here.
And Jacob Weil.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we find ourselves in the midst of Disney's big venture into the world of streaming, having started a war in the process, we thought it'd be nice to stay up to date on the ever growing catalog and rule on what's a must or a bust on Disney Plus.
And tonight we bring you She-Hulk Attorney at Law, Episode 4. Is this not real magic?
Yeah. So we're at episode 4. It's 9 episodes, so I guess more like next week we'll be kind of at the halfway point. But we're kind of like half and half at this point, I suppose. I thought this was a fun character episode. This is very much we've kind of taken a break from our main story, and we have Ian March in comments saying, "Good evening, guys. Hey, buddy, welcome."
Hello, Ed March.
Yes, this very much feels like kind of like a not filler is the wrong term because this is more Jen's character coming into focus here. This is very much kind of like we're taking kind of a plot, kind of a break before the plot continues with the whole wrecking crew coming after, and we did address it at the top with her father, so it's there.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite episode so far.
I mean, me too, but I'm really looking forward. Obviously, I think we're all looking forward to one in particular that's coming up.
That's why I said so far.
Yeah, so far you're right. So far, yes.
I mean, I haven't had the highest opinion, as you're probably well aware, but I think this episode is kind of what the series needed. Like, if you ask me.
Yeah. Yeah. People have been a little all over the place with She-Hulk. I think some people are liking it, but I think for the most part, it's been getting kind of a negative reception. But I don't know. People have definitely been tuning in for it one way or another. So I guess
it's more like certain aspects of it are getting negative attention.
That's probably the better way of putting it. So I mean, this episode, I think the reason you like this, Jacob, I think a lot of people, myself included, really like this is that this one feels very of the Dan Slott run of the comics. I'm not saying you necessarily have to have read the Dan Slott run, but I'm saying this Dan Slott did have John Byrne and Dan Slott are very much the go-tos on She-Hulk, and obviously Peter David, kind of took things on a little bit there. But let's just say like the She-Hulk titles were those two guys, and with Dan Slott, he really kind of got into the mundanity and what She-Hulk does, day to day after work and stuff. And I think this episode very much kind of summarized that in a really fun way.
8 March sums it up too. This was a fun episode. I really like Jen more and more as the show goes on. Also, Wong continues to be the best part of Phase 4.
Yeah, these are absolutely true facts, my friend. Yes,
I mean, hence what I typed in the description thing, and the continued expansion, basically, of the Wong Cinematic Universe.
Yes. I mean, this episode very much, it's Jen becoming more comfortable as She-Hulk, and also this one very much dives into the mission statement of the show, which is, hey, let's do She-Hulk as an Ally McBeal lawyer comedy, which very much, this episode definitely kind of exuded that.
Where she fights personal and literal demons.
Oh, most assuredly. And that's the thing. I absolutely agree with Aiden March in that I think the thing that keeps me coming back for the show, it's living up to exactly what I wanted the show to be, is Tatiana Maslany is capturing just a magnetic charm as She-Hulk. She's just very very delightful, very pleasant. She looks like $1,000,000. It's like it's fantastic. Just that she's bringing this character to life in every way you want her to.
In all honesty, this is what I was kind of looking forward to with the show. The light comedy, the occasional fourth wall breaks.
Yeah, we're less than occasional, my friend. We're going full fourth wall this episode. Each episode, she's like taking a sledgehammer to that fourth wall, and it's getting funnier.
And the more humorous character interactions, and all that. This is kind of the stuff I was looking for.
All right, we have a comment from our buddy Romello Malone.
Every time I watch an episode of She-Hulk and didn't even let the CGI looks good even more when she's playing She-Hulk on screen.
Yes, it's funny. Jacob, do you ever watch the Corridor Crew? I don't know if I've asked you this before.
No, but I've heard of them.
Yeah, these guys are really good. They kind of they do visual effects work. I don't know in what official capacity, but they do like a lot of kind of homespun sort of things in their own studio, and they sit down with effects guys, stunt guys, and animators, and they kind of talk over how they speculate things were done. And then the guy on the couch sometimes tells them from being in the business how exactly things were done. So they looked at the She-Hulk trailer. So an episode where they kind of looked at the She-Hulk trailer, and they kind of broke down, back during the rough trailer and everything, which everyone kind of threw, was very much kind of panicking at before they kind of fixed it and everything. Basically, they kind of put it down to signs of what exactly went wrong there, and why the CG I think is looking much better in the show versus like what people were fearing it was going to be. Is that there was like a line detail thing where basically the male face easily has like stubble and pores and like lines and wrinkles that are a lot easier to kind of like even in like a less detailed trailer, which is what everyone got the first time. It's like, okay, you can still tell that's the Hulk. It's the same shape of the Hulk. Like you have an approximation for what that character looks like. She-Hulk, new character, female, and basically if you lose detail in like that initial trailer that came out, it's like, hey, where's all the like the little facial details that sell the effect? They're not there. It just looks like a weird green video game lady. Where now with all the bells and whistles, like we have a lot of really great intimate shots here, like she's dating people, and we're having like this shot, like we have to see excellent close-ups of her, like talking and reacting, with little facial twinges. I mean, again, the more kind of we're literally getting to know this character, I think the more not only just in a character level she's getting fleshed out, but more in like literally the flesh of it all. Like we're seeing like all these. It's a very it's she's becoming real before our eyes, and it's quite good.
Yep. Aid March has another comment.
Yeah,
I can't even think that the conciseness of the episodes helps the show quite a bit. Tatiana is great, enjoy to watch. Other than the stingers in episodes 1 and 3, it's been fun throughout.
yeah. Let's talk about that for a second, because we the Disney Plus shows in general, but particularly I guess our MCU shows. Again, we've kind of talked about this many a time, but runtime has been a kryptonite for the most part for these shows. Now, there have been some exceptions, with the exception of the finales, but like something like Moon Knight, for example, very well paced until the very end, and yeah,
And as I keep saying regarding Moon Knight, it probably followed the 3 act structure and splitting the arcs, probably the best out of all of these shows so far.
for sure, yeah, absolutely. So I mean, here I think again we're doing something very different here. We have not done with the other shows. It, what if has been the closest thing we've gotten to kind of like going under the hour, and that even what if had problems there in terms of you have a great idea that unfortunately you wanted more real estate and runtime with, but because of the limitations of animations, like no, we don't have the budget to go longer than we are right now, even though it's Disney. We can't do that. Where with She-Hulk here again, this is the first time we're getting a sense of like the half hour ish runtime, and it's been going well. It's been going pretty well so far.
Well, it suits the format of the show.
Exactly, it's been going for like the half hour legal comedy.
Yeah, it fits. It uses it. One thing is that the show knows how to use its time for the most part.
Yeah, which I hope it keeps the momentum. I think the biggest determination of the year on She-Hulk is going to be like, is this going to be the first of these shows to really pull off the ending?
Well, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of pressure there, but fingers crossed. All right, Jacob, did you have thoughts on the episode you wanted to share, or did we kind of got lost in a lot of comments there? I want to make sure. Did you have anything, or did you already go through yours?
Speaking of comments, I guess we could address. Do you guys think we'll see what happened after Jennifer first Hulk got from episode 1 in a later episode?
Well, let's see. I mean, I don't really think it's that big a deal what happened after the first Hulk out, because she like terrified those guys at the bar, and Bruce tackled her and just brought her home. I don't think there's really
Yep, Hulk saved them.
I mean, I think the question perhaps Ramel was bringing up, like, do you think there was like, are we going to use like video footage of look how savage she is, and they would play into the whole thing that Bruce set up of like the last thing you want is for them to see you as a monster, which could be our low of lows this season. If either that gets out, or if she does lose her cool and scares people by turning monstrous, and perhaps that kind of like that really messes with things, maybe loses her a job at Superhuman Law. Like, I'm thinking a very potential end of this season is she strikes it out on her own, like she goes to start her own firm, perhaps
We'll see how that goes.
a private practice of some such.
Well, I said, in all honesty, I said I still think this is definitely the funniest episode so far. I'll give it that. I mean, like a lot of it from Wong.
Yeah. So you want to just jump into it, Jake? You want to start with Wong?
Yes, let's start with Wong.
Okay, so we get more Wong. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Nothing wrong with Wong. Like I said,
Nothing. Yeah.
as I said, the continued expansion of the Wong Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny.
He's basically this phase's Agent Coulson.
I mean, so far, I mean, he has with this, with two appearances. I think he's finally beat, Doctor Strange in terms of number of appearances and other Marvel things.
I mean, unless you count the whole show as a single appearance.
Well, all right, fine, never mind then. But
I mean,
yeah,
I said unless if you, I said I don't know if you count it like that.
yeah.
Because if you count like the individual episodes, then Moon Knight's appeared more than Thor has. Well, not really, but I guess.
Well, yeah, well, that's. I mean, I was thinking more like recurring characters versus like, hey, it's a guy's first show. I don't think it's necessarily the same thing. But let's not get bogged down
Well,
in
well,
semantics here.
maybe Wong needs his own show.
Yeah, that would be, like the Comertage. Let's see, like, what's the little, Wong
Maybe
days.
we could call it Wong, Sorcerer Supreme.
There you go. Yeah. You can't quite do a Doctor Strange series. What's the next best thing? Let's see what Wong's up to. Let's see what Wong's doing while Doctor Strange is in the middle of, in the midst of Doctor Strange 3. What's going on.
I'd even be fine with like a series of just Wong shorts.
I mean, I'm down for that too. Yeah.
We need more Wong.
Okay, regardless, it's funny. They
Yeah.
called out the whole Wong being kind of like Twitter armor because, it's funny that the show is kind of pointing at. I wonder how much of this is like, because, they do these things in advance. A lot of this has to be, they had to anticipate in the writing, like we did in episode, I think it was, episode 3 probably, where we had the whole thing where, hey, people are reacting negatively to She-Hulk, and in some corners maybe a little more sexist than others, but just in some cases, which they kind of made fun of in the show. I wonder how much of that is them predicting, like, yeah, we're doing like a very a show with a female hero who's essentially, I think the worst thing people have said about She-Hulk historically is, why do we need a knockoff of the Hulk, which is a very, I think, a wrong-minded approach because she's very interesting, given that she's a lawyer and everything, which the Hulk clearly is not. But yeah, it seems that there's some degree of like, yeah, we can be meta and kind of predict maybe the reactions to the show, and we kind of play on that, which makes the meta content of the show even better. So she's like, calling, hey, we have Twitter armor with Wong because people loved him last episode. A lot of love for Wong.
I mean, it's kind of presumptuous. I would say it's kind of presumptuous of the writers in that regard.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I could be reading into that, but you'd have to imagine there has to be some degree of like, it's probably. But you're right though. It's like they have to imagine the Wong stuff's going to go down really well, or else like there has to be like a big writing turnaround. Like, can they change the episode that much? Like, can they like I don't know.
I mean, I don't know about you, but it still says something when Wong's the best part of the show and he's not even one of the main characters.
Well, that's the thing. I wonder how much of that as well is like, hey, I think like many people were expecting a guest, like a different guest per episode. So maybe I didn't expect to see Wong again. Were you surprised by Wong coming back?
I mean, we finally got the other line from the trailer.
We did. Again, I thought it was one of those trailer things. Or could we just we cut out the line? But no, yeah, we indeed got that line.
Like the book of American law. He's like, it's just kind of funny that technically he was almost about to get in trouble for aiding a criminal escape, and now he's coming to Jin for help.
Yeah, if you think about it, it's like, man, I really hope here's the thing. If Donnie Blaze, who we'll get to in 1 second, if Donnie Blaze are really smart, he would have his showbiz lawyer like point out, like, hey, he's a wanted felon. We should probably arrest him. Like he aided and abetted in an escape of an inmate. He's we like someone called the Accords on this guy.
Aid March agrees with that. Wong is Sorcerer Supreme. Of course, he's the best part of the show.
Yeah, Wong has been some connective tissue for sure. And again, if he's acting as like essentially the new Doctor Strange, he might as well. He would be as a Doctor Strange the most easily kind of like cameoable, kind of hero you could throw in there, guest star appeal.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So,
Wong supremacy.
yes. So that's the thing. So, of course, here's the thing. I will say so. What's the episode before we get into the Dying Blaze things? I really hope this is the only episode we have this season with magic. Okay, because I really do not. That'd be to me, that's a big mistake. If we bring Wong back, more, less bringing back Wong, more if we bring back Wong and make it another, hey, magical threat of the week. Is like, that's going to be, She-Hulk's not about magic. I mean, she can like go into meet a magical character maybe for an episode like this.
I
but
mean,
I don't
imagine.
want that to be a regular thing.
Yeah, considering it was also the last week's focus too.
Yeah, that's the thing. I hope we don't make a habit of like if at minimum one per season. Like if they do another season, like maybe do Wong for another magical related thing. But like we can't just have hey more Wong. It's another magic threat. We can't do that.
Yeah, they can't use it wrong. They're basically admitting to using Wong as a crutch.
Exactly. Yeah, which would be a disservice to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, we love Wong, but
So let's talk about the bee in Wong's bonnet this week.
Donnie Blaze.
Okay, so I gotta admit, they really. I know they were going for a bit of a tease last week with the whole like. I think there was like a court document or something in the courtroom artwork at the end, like the little tease of Blaze, but the first name's blocked out or like the D is blocked out. I got to admit, the of all the names, why Don? I know they're trying to like build up some Ghost Rider hype, but that's a little much for me. I think they really shouldn't have called this guy Donnie Blaze.
Yeah,
Because now it was like when we eventually, if we do eventually do Johnny Blaze, it's gonna be oh man, that's too small a world. There's a Johnny Blaze and a Donnie Blaze. There's a Ragnar. That's a Taika Waititi joke. I don't need that everywhere.
I mean, they could. I mean, I guess it could be stated that maybe Donnie Blaze is his stage name.
I mean, even so, I'm just
But,
saying like Donnie and Johnny. It's too.
and as we see now, he's trapped in the mirror dimension, so we don't have really much story about
Oh, we
there.
don't know what happened to him there. This just might be like kind of. I'd like to think this happened personally, so maybe it did. Maybe it did.
I wonder if he has his hype man with him.
Oh, speaking of which, did you hear the thing about the hype man?
No.
Oh, you're gonna love this. So apparently, his hype man, his assistant, Cornelius is the character's name. Is played by an actor called Leon Lamar. Jacob, do you know how old this man is?
How old is he?
104 years old.
Wow.
Crazy, right? So he's like has the record now, like the oldest actor in the MCU. Like he, beat Stan Lee.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, I was like kind of scrolling by and I heard that little fun fact. Looked into it, like, oh my god, this man's 104. It's crazy.
And he works here hyping up this wannabe magician.
Yeah, so this is a really so again. I love the fun mundane idea here of like basically a magician, a bad magic act that is using. And basically, this guy got booted from Comertage. He flunked out of Comertage, and he basically swiped the sling ring, and
he tried summoning beer to his Comertage.
yeah.
And basically like summoned four, but maybe the whole beer thing was a bad thing, but it was like 4 kegs and at a party and was kicked out in 2 weeks.
Yep.
It's like even Wong was probably both impressed and was like, "Oh god."
Yep.
It's
So
like, I was surprised he set a record for being the fastest kick out for being kicked out fastest at Kamatage.
yeah. So this is just a priceless idea of like, okay, what if a bad magician were actually indoctrinated into the whole Sorcerer Supreme thing, but it didn't go well?
Yeah, man, he's just using it for parlor tricks.
Exactly, and he's very irresponsibly as we bring up. Let's talk about here are the breakout stars. I mean, it's along with Wong, but you know who the breakout star of the show is this week?
Madeline.
No, not Madeline.
Madison, right?
Now remember, it's Madison with a Y, but not where you think.
And with 2 N's.
Yes, with 2 N's. Apparently, Jamil, I'm blanking. I keep screwing up her last name. The actress who plays Titania. She is, she's I believe friends with this actress, and I don't know if that's how she got the job or not, but she's really like hyping up. Oh, you guys, you're gonna love the actress who's going to pop up this week, kind of like a Megan Thee Stallion-esque kind of guest star. So apparently, she's probably well known for something along those lines. Like I don't know if she's an influencer or model or what, but Madison, with the Y, she's yeah, a lot of people are loving her. Like how people are joking, like give her a spin-off, give her a show.
It's like now they say, well, Wong deserves a spin-off before she does.
No, absolutely, but it isn't.
Who knows?
She could be in the Wong show, though.
Exactly.
So this is funny. This drunken.
She's now besties with Wongers.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So we have like kind of this drunken party girl who basically is brought for a magic trick.
She's basically eternally drunk.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you I was actually brought on stage as a magician's assistant once, or like a volunteer from the audience?
Yeah, I don't think you've ever mentioned that.
Yes, I disappeared in a white Corvette.
Oh, nice.
Anywho, so
I never get picked for that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I once went to remember I once went to like Knott's Berry Farm with Tiki, and he got picked for one of the shows.
Wait, really? He got picked for a magic show?
I don't remember if it was a magic show or just some, it was some kind of show. I think it was either a magic show or some kind of show that was going on. But it was during not Scary Farm, I believe,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he got picked.
Yeah, for me, it was a magic show in Vegas.
Oh, nice. That's even better.
Yep. Anywho, let's see. So, point.
Was it a Siegfried and Roy?
No, 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 no. It was after
I,
that the whole thing happened. It was
all right. I know. I was just being kid. I was just kidding anyway.
right. Anyway, so so Madison disappears. She goes on quite the wild journey.
Like
Probably going through.
including a demon that apparently has my name.
Right. Well, sure.
Well,
Jake.
it goes by Jake, and
Yes,
I don't go by that. But
yeah, the guy from State Farm goes by Jake. Jake from State Farm.
yeah, which one? Both of them, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like a demon that shares that has the same name as me, apparently, and it's also a goat who requires 6 drops of blood and a signature.
Some people are justifiably saying Mephisto.
Jake Mephisto.
Yeah, he had a nickname once called Jack, so people are making the connections from Jake to Jack. I mean, to be fair, this one literally was like a deal with the devil. So all the times to actually speculate Mephisto. I mean, had we not seen the goat in the in the post credit, I would say, yeah, actually maybe there is a bit of credence to the Mephisto thing.
I could have sworn Madison mentioned that mentioned the fact that he was a goat.
Yeah, she did. No, she meant. I'm saying she mentioned it. We saw it. I'm just saying the fact that I thought she meant. Oh, he might have like a goat-like appearance, but no, he's an actual goat. Yes, all theories lead to Mephisto. That's the pressure's got to be on for Ghost Rider at this point. Like, okay, at some point we gotta just to shut everyone up. We gotta do Mephisto just to do it.
I mean, to be fair, Agents of Shield did a good job with Ghost Rider.
And no, they absolutely did. That's the thing. I mean, I'd be open, honestly, I'd be open for that guy to return, but chances are we're just going to do the easiest solution. Okay, let's just do the Johnny Blaze version.
Yeah, like I said, I love the version in Agents of Shield though.
He is great. Again, it was Agents of Shield kind of getting its juice back for a minute there.
Yep, and then the Life Model Decoy arc was after that, I believe.
Yeah. There's some peaks and valleys there for sure. But
I mean, heck, I like the Life Model Decoy arc. I think the arc that after that when they went into the virtual world was better than that. But
that's I don't know. It's
all right. We should get back on.
Let's not get sidetracked with Agents of Shield right now.
Yeah, but they'll do Mephisto well, then people will still be angry.
Yeah. Plus,
but he's like, but it won't be Pacino, and people will still be angry.
People want Pacino for Mephisto?
Apparently, that's the first time hearing of this.
I didn't hear that. Yeah, no. Of course, remember back in the day. I mean, the prime candidate for Mephisto was Aaron Peters. Yeah, Aaron Peters, the one who played our fake Quicksilver.
Yep. Well, yep. In the other universe, he played the real Quicksilver.
Exactly. So anyway, yeah. So the point is, the fact is, even if we eventually do get Mephisto, some people say, "Why didn't you put him in the Spider-Man story?" The reason is because it works so much better without Mephisto in it.
Yeah, and moving back to the show.
Yes, back to the show.
And somehow she just ends up at Wong's and Kamertage.
Yeah, so that's the irresponsible thing about what Donnie Blaze did. The fact is, he just left this girl in a portal and didn't bother to bring her back, and she just ended up and just she had to sign a deal with the devil to get from point A to point B to get out of there.
And based on Wong's comment, it seems like this wasn't the first time.
Yeah, and I love the. Here's the. I love what the last straw was here. Okay, so of course remember.
I love how Wong is basically like, did a cut rate magician send you? But it was like it happened before.
So what's great here is that Wong, of course, I just laughed hysterically because I've also watched this show, and my grandfather adores this show, The Sopranos.
I need to watch that.
Yes, it is. It is good. I mean, it's not for me like a thing I would. My grandfather binges it several times. I've watched through it once, and I've liked it, but it's I wouldn't watch as I don't like it as much as something like Nurse Jackie, for example. That I could watch a couple times. That's really good.
I know it's on HBO Max.
Yes, it is, along with the Saints of Newark movie, which is the prequel that takes place before The
The,
Sopranos.
the Rise of Tony Soprano.
Exactly. Played by Michael Gandolfini, James Gandolfini's son, who does a rather great job. Anywho,
R.I.P. James Gandolfini.
yes. So, point being, just Wong watching, he's binging through The Sopranos like everyone is kind of these days after the whole Saints of Newark kind of reignited, like a lot of fanfare for the show. And of course, it's a great show. Basically, even before we had Breaking Bad, you had The Sopranos, so your down to earth crime drama.
Like, if anything, I need to also start rewatching Boardwalk Empire.
Sure.
But it is kind of surprising to see something like The Sopranos in the MCU.
I think, if memory serves, he's on episode 5, season 5, episode 12. Well, I mean, we already spoil it in here, so I'll keep it vague. Just when a character dies on The Sopranos during that big episode, and of course she spoils it for Wong.
Well, let's face it, she cried for 3 days.
Yep, and it was a rather sad death too. Like I know exactly the one she was talking about. And there's a lot of the fact that Wong's getting close to the end of The Sopranos, and by the time so that's why he's moved on to another show because he basically binged through the ending of it between point A and point B. He took a day and he binged through season. I think there's 6 seasons of Sopranos.
Who knows? Maybe that's why he was late getting to the court meeting last episode.
Yeah.
He lost time watching The Sopranos.
That's a good idea, though. That's probably what happened.
Although he obviously wouldn't mention that in court. It's like, I'm sorry, I was watching The Sopranos.
Unless they asked him under oath, like, Mr. Wong, why were you late?
Like, I was watching The Sopranos.
I like Carmelo Soprano.
Like, and to be fair, though, I haven't watched The Sopranos, and probably by the time I get to that particular episode, I won't remember exactly the spoiler from Madison. So it's fine. So it's fine for me. Yeah, that is hinging on the fact that if I ever watch The Sopranos, which I probably will sometime later.
Right. Anyway,
but spoilers are pretty bad.
Yes, they are. So that's these bad. Again, like just very ditzy. Just does not consider like, oh, Wong doesn't want me. He's watching through it. He hasn't finished this episode. It's like, you notice though, they weren't able to show what was. If I recall, the screen was blank, so I don't think legally they're allowed to show The Sopranos.
I mean, there were some actors showing up on the screen.
I'm sorry, Jake. Well, that's the thing. Later on, we see the other show he binged, which is This Is Us. So that's the thing, which it's an ABC show, if I recall, which they actually...
It's NBC.
Oh, NBC? Really?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, well, I don't know. I'm just throwing my hands up there, but HBO might be more stringent about it. I don't know. I don't recall seeing I remember seeing the title spreads and hearing the music. So they got some rights to it. I don't know. Point being, right. So point being, yeah, she just walks in there and basically Wong gets a binge buddy, which is delightful. I love that. I love the idea Wong kind of has befriended this girl, even though she infuriates him by spoiling his binging, and also that leads to the last straw for him, which is like, Donny Blaze, I'm coming for you. because he got the Sopranos spoiled because of this cut rate magician. So yeah.
And it's like, he ruined my show.
And Aid Mark's absolutely right. Madison spoiled 2 very big moments from The Sopranos.
Yeah, that's what I had highlighted earlier.
Yeah, oh, sorry. I was looking down during that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, let's see. Point being, so basically, he goes to. I like the flow of logic here. Okay, Wong very recently became acquainted with a attorney. So who is he going to turn to?
Who he knows is capable of hulking.
Yeah.
And so he turns to the only lawyer he knows.
Yeah, Jen Walters, yeah.
And maybe soon he'll be acquainted with Daredevil.
In a perfect world, yes.
But yeah, so it's like he convinces her to aid him, and it's like, did you get any of that? She's like, did you get any of that in writing? It's like, no.
It's the downside of the verbal kind of honorific contract. It's not going to go well.
It's like yeah, if you're looking to sue someone, you need legal grounds. And I mean, verbal agreements can be a thing. I mean, especially if they're recorded.
but not in Comertage. It's all the honor system in Comertage.
Yep. And Aid March says just under the Donnie Blaze played by the husband of the director Cat Quiro.
Oh, I did not know
Or
that.
or,
Oh,
or Coiro. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. If by some miracle you are watching this, Cat, I'm sorry for
sorry.
if you're by some miracle you found this channel and you're watching it, we're sorry for potentially mispronouncing your name.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're listening to some discourse on the show, so I think it's mostly on Twitter, but who knows?
Yep. I mean, heck,
Maybe they are listening to some podcast.
I mean, heck, we've been mostly positive regarding this thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I've had a few gripes here and there, but
Yeah.
I've mostly been positive, as you
I think
know.
we've been open-minded considerably. I don't know.
Yep, and Reese Coiro or Quiro, I'm going to guess Coiro, played
Okay.
Donnie.
All right. Let's see. Point being, so Wong tries to file like kind of a cease and desist order, but unfortunately, again, there's been no like actual breach of contract. So right now, their only recourse is just like a cease and desist thing, which is, of course, the bitter irony of this episode is the fact that essentially, well, it's not exact. I don't know. It's a little vague at the end of the episode, but it's essentially it's yes.
I'm just saying. So basically, their goal is to, instead of like doing a cease and desist, they have to prove that what he's doing is dangerous.
Well, sure. What I was going for, though, Jacob, is
Right.
that it's kind of a cease and desist that they're going for now, which ironically, She-Hulk, by the end of the episode, could be in a position of being issued a cease and desist. So it's kind of ironic. I don't know if that's exactly what she's handed at the end, but it's essentially tantamount to that, basically saying, we'll sue you if you use this name again. So it's essentially a cease and desist.
Now she's suing for the name, the trademark of She-Hulk.
Exactly. So that's kind of it's kind of like a bitter irony of like this is what the episode's about, and that's kind of what bites her in the end. At least I think that's kind of that's possibly what the legalese is going to be next episode. We'll have to find out next week exactly what the deal is there.
Yep, it's gonna be trademarking.
I can't wait to we'll just put a pin in that. We'll get to the nitty gritty of that by the end. But yeah. So here's the I had an issue. Here's an issue I had with the episode. Okay.
Okay.
So I think that it didn't kill the episode, but I did kind of raise an eyebrow at the tone in our kind of our comedic tone in a scene where I think maybe we stretched the realm of believability maybe a little too much. Where we're in court during the hearing with the judge over this whole cease and desist matter, and I think maybe it was heightened a bit too much at the end, mainly at the end, where, okay, the fact he's doing little magic tricks in court, that's silly, that's funny, he's a magician, sure. But to the degree of he pulls a very bad rabbit, like, a rabbit appearing thing, not out of a hat because he doesn't wear a hat, but, basically he makes a rabbit appear very sloppily because we see the guy put it behind the cloth and she just removes it. And the judge goes, "Aw," and then essentially rules in his favor for the time being. She's got to deliberate, mind you, but I'm just saying she's essentially saying, hey, he can perform in the interim. It's okay because he charmed me with the rabbit bit. That's essentially what it communicates to me, which I think, okay, that's maybe a little too much, a little too comedy. That's a little too much comedy in that case.
All right. Before we move on to the more Donnie Blaze, why don't we look into Jen's dating life?
Sure. Yeah. So, of course, my favorite aspect of the episode, I'm really, again, we take a break on the whole Wrecking Crew thing, and we're seeing her become comfortable She-Hulk by proxy of her, Jennifer Walters dating, and we see, her using this matcher. Yeah.
Yeah, and even her friend was basically like, you use your legal profile for this.
Yeah, a little too professional, Jen. A little too buttoned up. You gotta be fun.
Like, yeah, kind of. Yeah, no, that's like no wonder she doesn't get many hits on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a shame because she's attractive for sure.
Oh, of course. That's the thing. I feel Jennifer Walters. What we're saying about her personally in this is that she's a very hard worker. She's really top of her game, really putting the elbow grease into things. But at the cost of that, she doesn't really have a lot of room for kind of a social life or kind of dating and stuff. But here's the thing. Not so much that she doesn't want to, which I think is the important distinction, because I've always said this ever since the beginning of, well, since the Avengers, and we didn't do this, thankfully, but it was very much at risk of, what we had in the first Avengers movie with Black Widow is like, okay, Black Widow isn't going to be like, we're not going to do that thing we see on TV all the time, which any procedural lawyer show could very easily do, where it's like, I'm a lawyer, I'm a career woman, I'm a CSI, I'm a crime tech, I don't have time for like social life. I don't have time to have fun. I got to be all serious and tight and look down on anyone who has a relationship. Like we're not doing that at all here, which is
Yeah,
very refreshing.
yeah, it is nice that she kind of wants to have fun and get into the dating scene. Even if her attempts as Jen don't go over very well, and she's more successful as She Hulk.
I love how She calls that. Well, that's a bummer for Jen.
It's like I think, yeah, I don't know if that's exactly. I don't remember if that's exactly what she said, but
Well, she says like demoralizing for Jen, essentially, but something along those lines.
it got her out there, and she was allowed to be a more confident, fun-loving self that she is.
I felt so bad for Jen when she had that terrible date with Alan. I wanted to slap that punk kid. I really did. Just the fact of like, you mean to tell me this nice lady, she's giving you a time of day, and what are you doing? You're texting on your phone. You're not listening to half all the awesome things that she's telling you about herself, and he won't even offer to pay for half of the check. And you should pay for all. He's not even offering to pay for like going Dutch or anything. He's just going. They do like the quick draw. I love it's like a mind game almost of like, okay, Am I seeing a wallet, or am I going for the keys? And he sees the wallet, he goes for the keys, and he's out there and calls her a six in earshot. I hated that kid.
I said, I'm just glad they didn't do any more with anything more than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of ways they could have gone with that, and that's probably the best way they could have gone with that. Yeah, there are some people out there like that.
Yeah, the guy was again. It's funny that we kind of showed a little bit of this kind of type of guy with Dennis last episode. The stupid, like her stupid ex partner from the DA's office.
Yeah, who's also now with the also who's not help at GLK and H.
It's kind of funny, the connective tissue here, where essentially that guy had like a dating app of sorts, and now she's in the middle of a dating app story. So it's kind of funny how our stories have kind of led into each other incidentally.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so She-Hulk gets into the dating scene. It's a well constructed sequence too. By the way, it's just kind of like she transforms, and we're doing like the POV stuff with the camera and like doing the kind of stuff from the trailer that we saw. So of course, something we got to talk about here, because obviously this is like a big buzzworthy thing with the tag last episode, which a lot of people were up in arms. Apparently, a lot of people were really up in arms with that tag last episode.
All right.
The dancing with Megan Thee Stallion. But that's the thing. So She-Hulk dating to me is very fun. Again, I love the MCU's take on her her love life, which is kind of a component of the She-Hulk character. And we address that She-Hulk very attractive, and she gets a lot of matches. And we have this montage of we have our montage of losers, in which we have like kind of the lifters, like, oh, look how much I can lift, and I'm dating the She-Hulk. Yeah, we have the. I got to admit though, of all the guys, I think she should have given the filmmaker like 5 minutes. All right, yes, he was talking about himself. I don't know, he didn't seem all that bad.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't really open up much to him.
Yeah, he seemed a little dim, like the whole he's kind of making some legal leads, but he's a filmmaker. He's not doesn't mean he's a bad guy.
yeah,
That's just my read on it. I don't know.
yeah, and then she found the pediatrician.
Well, before that, don't forget,
Yeah.
we then so they had the filmmaker, then we had the guy we had the fan, who initially was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cute. She kind of found a fan, but then it turned real creepy real fast, and it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's calling her a specimen, and not in the good way.
Oh, I thought he was like trying to like give. I thought for a moment it was like gonna turn to like he was like one of like working for the wrecking crew or something.
I know, yeah, like he's bringing up vibranium and asking about how durable she is and everything. It's like, oh wow, that's yeah.
It's a little too specific.
So then we have yes. So then we have, I like to call him Dr. Cliche.
She even calls it a cliche.
That's why I'm calling him that. But I mean, I'm just we don't really have a good name on this guy. So Dr. Cliche, or the point being the pediatric oncologist. So of course we get in the pediatric oncologist thing. Is like, what's the most likable doctor there possibly is? Well, he's helping kids with cancer. Pediatric oncologist. All right.
Yeah.
So he's a good listener too. I'll admit, this guy again, they're playing a little bit with the believe, not in a bad way. They're playing with kind of the exaggeration of, okay, this guy's literally like out of a Lifetime or a Hallmark movie. This guy's too perfect, and The feminist book was a little bit much, but that's part of the gag, though. I think it's a little stretch for a gag. Okay, really, he's reading a book on feminism while he's waiting in her place. That's a little on the nose.
Well, maybe she had the book.
I know she had the book. I'm just saying, really, you had to have this guy's cool. All right, he's already got the thumbs up. I don't think it's like Buzz Lightyear pushing the toolbox in Toy Story. I think we got you. Don't go too far. It's gonna knock all over the table.
Like, yeah. And at least she even like acknowledges it's like she basically only went for him because he's hot.
Yeah, but again, he did seem to be a really nice guy.
I mean, he did, but she did admit that most of it was because he's hot.
Yeah, and in the end, there's some karma at play there. Where really that guy, I think it's insane that guy walked out without breakfast and everything. He just kind of left there because she wasn't She-Hulk anymore. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
I mean, I think it makes sense for okay, we need a disqualifier for a guy. That's the disqualifier for sure. I'm just saying, personally, it's like you are insane, man.
Yeah.
So before we, well, let me say this, and then we'll go back to the Wong stuff. So I love how I'm getting a real Jessica Jones vibe with She-Hulk as a character, which I think is very on point. Which is very on point for these characters. And that the idea is like Jessica Jones and by proxy She-Hulk, they're unlucky like Spider-Man. They have Parker luck. They get the crap end in the mundane problems in the fantastical MCU. That's the idea. Like the MCU being the real world that we live in. These guys are very much living the real New Yorker. Well, in this case, New Yorker, and I guess kind of Californian experience. They're getting the real world experience, and by proxy, but not the glamorous side of it. Like by the time She-Hulk's around, the Avengers aren't really a thing anymore. But superheroes are very much the talk of the town, and beyond that, it's like, hey, you're famous, you can do stuff, and you're a lawyer, but you're very different. And yet, she's got real life problems like the rest of us. And again, she's dating. It's not going very well for her, even though she's like a 6'7", gamma infused lawyer.
Like, she's exactly what a lot of the women want on Tinder.
Yeah.
Like what they ask for in the guys, but only in obviously female, obviously a woman herself.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, have you seen some of this stuff on Tinder?
No, Jacob, I haven't. But,
I mean, I haven't either, but I've just seen a lot of like pictures and videos and stuff. But that's pretty much a lot of what a lot of the women ask for, like 6 foot tall and all that.
Very unrealistic expectations. So the idea that she is very much a walking unrealistic expectation, so all the men are flocking to her.
Yep. And basically, it goes both ways.
I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with She-Hulk, as she is. I'm just saying that's,
Of course, I'm just saying it also goes both ways.
You're right. It does. My point being, though, so it's the unlucky kind of essay, like a Jessica Jones. It's the idea that, hey,
I mean,
She-Hulk's in the yes.
I'm just if we. I'm sorry, we're trying to keep interrupting, but
Mhm.
if we're considering that the Jessica Jones from the Netflix series is in this continuity, I'd say Jessica's probably had it a bit worse.
No, for sure. I'm just desperate. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm desperate for Jessica Jones to meet She-Hulk because they would be peas in a pod, my friend. They would get along so famously. Jessica Jones doesn't get along with hardly anybody.
Well, or either that, or they probably wouldn't start off on the right foot, but they'd get along eventually.
Yeah. That's the thing is Jessica Jones, she has really bad relationship with lawyers. This would be the one lawyer she would ever like. Aside from Matt Murdock, but let's not.
I mean, she considering the team, she basically tolerated Matt for the most.
Yeah, it's kind of like a brother sister thing almost with those two. But yeah.
Yeah, it was nice while it lasted.
Yeah. Regardless, so I like the fact that kind of similar to a Jessica Jones, where it's basically kind of given one could also kind of throw in almost like a Kim Possible sort of thing, like a teenager who's tasked with doing these bigger than life things. You have she's on a date and then Wong interrupts like her dad.
It's like, I feel like your dad,
which is hysterical.
I mean, he probably is old enough to almost. Well, he's not old enough. He's not almost old enough to be her dad. I mean, he's slightly younger than her dad, but.
Wong has kind of traditionally in the comics he's a lot older, but he has a kind of a wizened thing about him. So he's a wizened monk essentially. So he definitely gives off the dad vibe.
I mean, he could at least he's probably at least 10 or so years older than she is. So.
Yeah, at least sure.
Yes, he has seniority on her.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's seasoned.
Wait, how old is Wong?
He's probably 45. I mean, you mean the comics? Or you mean the show?
I mean Benedict Wong.
I think Benedict Wong's probably 45. I guess I'm the blind guess, maybe 50 at most.
51 actually.
Oh well, there you go. See, I was in the ballpark.
Yeah, so you're quite close.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
And and
So,
and uh, and Jen mentioned that she's in her 30s, so
hmm
she's at least she has 20 years on her. So
yeah, I think probably like 33 or something.
yep. But it interrupts while they're on the couch.
By the way, I just want to kind of get this in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I keep paying attention to She-Hulk's wardrobe because I'm waiting till we get to the point where she's wearing like the full-on kind of like stylish lawyer suit with the skirt and everything, but as She-Hulk, which we haven't done given her like the tailored suit yet. Like we saw her Hulk out in court, so she's kind of in a ripped version of it, and we've seen her in kind of the oversized, baggy, like spandexy suit, and we built up that she needs new clothes, like the kind of like because the outfit she was wearing on her was like the only one she could wear, and now we're putting her in kind of a nice kind of dress for the date, which looked really nice. Like it was kind of purplish, kind of like a mauve or like I don't know,
and,
like
and it was stretchy.
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I like that we're kind of getting their wardrobes looking great. So I'm digging
And
that.
as her cousin said, spandex is your best friend.
Not Nikki. Spandex is your best friend.
I mean, I know that dress probably wasn't spandex, but
No, that's what I'm saying. She's buying in bulk, at least so far, like before she gets into like spandexy sort of stuff.
oh god, that just reminded me of the Amazing Bulk.
The amazing bulk.
It's a terrible low budget thing.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, it basically has to be seen to be believed.
okay.
And
So
I won't bog you with details right now.
okay. Anyway, what
But
was
yeah,
I?
Wong basically interrupts them when they're about to get it on.
Yes. So he interrupts, and she's just very much ranting about this while she's fighting just these demonic creatures. The idea is that this is hysterical, by the way. The fact that Donnie Blaze performing this magic that he's not supposed to. And I just love that, by the way, like all the lawyers like basically the legal representation with Donnie was like he had a showbiz lawyer who was also a magician, and he had his hype man. It's like
and
just all three doing magic at that trial was pretty funny.
and he actually tried doing a different magic trick because the lady's like, I saw a trick, dude. I saw you do that trick last week, and one of my friends did it hurt. And so he did something different and ended up summoning a bunch of demon spawn.
He basically I love this. It was something so innocent, like he summoned like a bird or a dove or something, and it laid an egg, and that out of the egg hatched a demon.
And then when he sent it back, more demons came out.
And you know why? Because he was such an idiot. He didn't think, okay, I should close the portal. He's left it open.
Yep. And of course that leaves Wong to clean up the mess. He manages to find Wong.
I love this stuff. Well, yeah, it's like yeah. Well, he's been to Comertown, so at least he knows how to get from point A to point B that far.
So it's like he's at least mastered that. I mean, it even took Stephen Strange a while to do that.
Yeah, well, he learned trial by fire. Remember, he was like on that mountain. So
Yep. It's like
this
even
guy
though
probably didn't get that far.
like, but he learned how to do it anyway.
Yeah,
Or at least he's had practice and is able to get there.
I think he lucked out, but yeah,
So
yeah,
that's also That's also a possibility.
let's see. So the point being, we have it's the
And
fact that he's been using the trick so often that it's gotten old, and the fact that in the MCU they have like something so fantastic. He's basically played out the Doctor Strange magic, and that's just something like, oh my god, people are getting bored by giant portals open up.
like, well, yeah, he kind of peaked after Endgame.
Hmm.
The whole portal thing kind of peaked with Endgame.
Well, I mean, yeah, how can you literally? It's like the portal scene. Like, how are you gonna? Yeah,
Yeah, that's. But for any people, that's like the peak of the MCU entirely.
I full on concur as like the greatest moment of the MCU.
Yeah, maybe we'll see more moments like that in King Dynasty and Secret Wars.
I mean, Secret Wars has got to be like the only other time you're going to rival that, and even then, I don't know how the heck they're going to present that. How do you top the portal scene in terms of summoning everybody? Unless like the Beyonders, like the snap of his fingers, everyone's there. It's about as close as I can imagine you get to that.
like multiverse.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he just, but like multiverse is summoned like so easily. Like yeah,
Like, already supposedly this stuff is based on the finger set thing that helps with magic, which better explains this Ned stuff from No Way Home.
yeah. So that's there's something to discuss, for example. So yeah, Ned, of course, that was always my gripe with No Way Home, where it Ned being magical was like, okay, we need a big old plot contrivance there. We need someone to bring all of our Spider Men together, like in proximity of each other, and how are we going to get from point A to point B without them just kind of swinging on the scene randomly?
Yep.
Yeah, the Ned magic thing was always like a really weird. It's kind of it was. Let's face it, it was a little bit of BS. It was like, okay, so he's been magic this whole time. Really, we're just gonna say that now.
All right, moving on from the rant.
All right. Regardless, what was that? Oh, right. So yeah, Wong just like, "Oh, I'm doing this for the universe, not you." I love in court, by the way. He laid out this epic speech for the judge about the importance of magic and the domino, like almost the butterfly effect of the universe. Like if magic is misused, it could lead to the collapse of all of reality.
Which we've seen.
Oh yeah, for sure, yes. And basically, so Wong's saying, what can I do? Call my lawyer, and he does call the lawyer, but she doesn't answer because she's on her hot date.
And then he's summoned, and then Wong just steps in himself. It's like, well, you didn't answer your phone.
Good. I gotta tell you, man, I love the animation of, I love like, I love the performance and the animation and everything on She-Hulk when she tosses the shirt of the
Yeah.
guy, and she just gives this hilarious look of where he says, "Where's my shirt?" And I love the look on her face, like I don't know.
It's like, yep, like live it, which is nice acknowledgement that even women get horny.
Yeah, I just love the whole like I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like I love the mundanity there. Like seeing the dating lives, just seeing it happen without it being like really forced.
Would it be bad to say like Jen was thirsty?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, she's first. We could tell that when she was like, "Let's get those fries to go.
Should we split some fries? Yes, and
Let's get them to go."
Oh yeah.
It's like the sensual version of "Let's Get Drive-Through" from Batman Forever.
Ask Jen to fight the demons.
Yeah.
But wait. Why does Wong ask Jen when he has so many sorcerers in those landing and training at his disposal? Why does he ask her to fight the demons?
Well, let's think for a second here. So, let's see. Well, we know. I'm assuming that this is after Multiverse of Madness, which we did lose a fair number of sorcerers. I'm not saying we lost everybody, but we did lose a fair number of them. If not,
thanks, Wanda.
Yeah, thanks to Wanda. Let's see. Well, I mean, he's in the neighborhood. He knows her, and also I think the main thing is that he wants her there so she can like she can parlay this into wrapping up the legal matter. So I think that's the main reason she's there.
Yeah, that was my guess because evidence.
And yeah, that's the thing. It's evidence.
Basically a witness, almost kind of like last episode.
Sure, I think that's the main. I'd say that's probably the main reason why she's there. I mean, aside from that, it's like I don't think Wong. Yes,
and like I said, plus there are other sorcerers, but I don't think they'd be as intimidating to him as she was.
Sure, but I also think the other thing perhaps is that it's like maybe Wong doesn't want to like he's the sorcerer supreme. It's kind of an embarrassing problem that he keeps getting outsmarted by this cut rate magician's like, oh god, I don't want the other sorcerers to see me with this, like be in this position, man. I don't want that.
No, that's also a fair point.
And maybe I think that's the real reason like why he didn't cut all the sorcerers is that, and he needs his lawyer on staff for this one. Yeah. She needs to help nip this in the bud, and she does parlay like holding like the giant, like the last demon as they throw him on the portals and everything. She's like, you'll be in contact with my office? Yes.
Yeah. And how Jim like does like a slingshot with the demons.
Yeah.
And she's like, Wong, coming your way, and he moves the portal.
Yeah, that was great. And the whole like, they don't die? No.
And basically the entire time she's like, I could be at home kissing his hot face right now. God. Like she'd rather be. Well, I mean, let's all face it. A lot of us would rather be at home with our dates than fighting a bunch of demons from another dimension.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I'm sure even Wong would probably rather be watching his shows with Madison than doing that.
Yeah. By the way, what do you think? You think just binge buddies, or you think there might be a spark there? Like, what do you think?
I'm sticking with binge buddies for right now, but
I can tell you, just them being buddies, even if purely platonically. Any way you want to slice it, regardless. I love in that courtroom where it says, "Hey, Wongers, you want to get froyo?"
He's like, "No." He's like, and then it's like we can talk about The Sopranos.
Okay, fine, but no spoilers.
And then she immediately spoils something.
Yep, well, something big too. But
like it's like I can see them being good friends, especially. I mean, like especially if she sobers up a bit.
it's a very fun pairing. Also, that whole scene, by the way, where the fact she's brought in as a witness, and of course, this hysterical again, kind of the superhuman law that we're at now is like, oh god, we're now bringing magic into the American legal system. So it's like what constitutes real magic, which I love that she again Jennifer had her bases covered, which was really good. The fact that I think the judge really should have ruled in her favor based on that really solid
but
logic that she had about the whole no card tricks and all sorts of stuff. This is real magic, man. It's very different.
but is this not real magic?
Yeah, it was not a
but
better.
there was also but they did make a good point though that you can't copyright magic.
That's the thing. That was one point against her in that case. Yeah.
Like, and that's pretty much like the clincher of that. Like,
And of course, what didn't help was Madison's testimony, where it's like, okay, well, all the stuff she's saying, she sounds it's like a drunken, crazy person, when in reality, it's like obviously all that really did happen.
yeah,
Anyway,
like,
so Days, yes,
especially considering they kind of just brought her literally from nowhere,
yeah,
and it's like, I love how it went wrong, and then it's like Jen's like, oh, this is a disaster, and one like, it was your idea.
as Love Wong saying, no, no, it's not a good. Like, you want to win this? Like, come on, man.
And then she regrets. It's like you asked for it.
Absolutely. So anyway, Day is saved, and Jen Walters is returned to her date.
Yeah.
So let me
God.
say this. So I've made this point before, but this is like the thing. It's been hyped up in the charts. We finally got it, so I should probably say it again for posterity's sake. I really respect that we're allowing She-Hulk sexuality to be kind of depicted here in some way, shape, or form, because which again has been per the last episode has been some people have been making an uproar about it, and that in a modern update of She-Hulk, and whether Dan Slaughter in this case specifically John Byrne, the guy who created She-Hulk, this is John Byrne constantly satirized the over sexualization of comic book females, like how we're like putting them on covers and everything. So the idea is like back in the day, she'd be in a bikini as a swimsuit model. So what is the modern day equivalent? Well, it'd be someone doing like the twerking thing that she did last episode, or in this case again. But here, we did something in a really classy way. We're okay. Well, we're kind of playing with in a cheeky way the sex life of the superhero. Happens to be a 6'7", 6'7", kind of gamma giant lady. So again, we're not going full tilt with it like Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, mind you. But that's the thing. We found a balance. I respect that we found a balance. So we're not like pretending like none of that happened. We're like no, we can't possibly show or acknowledge that she does that sort of stuff. But we found a classy balance. That it happened, and we have the morning after, so we're getting all the emotions at play there. And poor Jen rejected in the morning. And how can her day possibly get any worse, Jacob?
Someone brings her legal documents with Titania trademarking the She-Hulk name.
So I love this idea that on the TV it's like announcing that Titania, she's basically, it sounds like, if I got it right, her influencer followers basically draft like a petition of sorts to get her released under some BS legal technicality. And while she's out, she's getting revenge on She-Hulk by basically taking her name.
Trademarking her name specifically.
Essentially trademarking her name, so like she doesn't own it. So it's which I think is just evil, man. That's just evil in the legal sense.
Which is kind of funny considering like one of the real reasons why She-Hulk was created in the first place was so that Marvel would own the copyright for the name, so no one else could use it.
Huh. Well, really? Is that what happened?
I mean, I believe that was what I heard somewhere.
I didn't know about it. I really didn't know about that.
I mean, don't take my word on that, but I did watch a comic book channel and that was mentioned on there.
That's interesting. If that's true, that's rather interesting. Like basically, so you're saying what you've heard, at least what you think you heard, is that was out of like this one people they wanted to prevent anyone else from just calling a character She-Hulk, so they made their own.
Basically, yeah. I mean, think about why Marvel's version of Captain Marvel was created.
Okay, well that's a fair point. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they would legally be able to, if anyone else would have been able to do this.
Well,
but basically, this point is like people on Marvel were paranoid, so they did it.
Yeah, and the whole Captain Marvel thing's like a whole other can of worms. It's just ridiculous, but it's a whole.
And that's why the original Captain Marvel is nowadays known as Shazam.
Yeah, unfortunately,
which is a name that does ultimately make sense.
I mean, yeah, it's still like the whole appeal is like, hey, he says the word Shazam and he transforms, but if we call him Shazam, where's the fun? But we found out in the movie, the first movie did a good way. Okay, we just have to be careful about saying, but now we can't really legally, we can't call him a name, so we keep coming up with a bunch of these fill-in names. Like we just can't call him like Shazam.
Yep.
So we found a balance. Unfortunately, it's what I always feared it was going to be. Where okay, so he can't say his name. Well, he can't say his name.
Yep. And we should stop talking about Shazam at this point.
We should. So yeah, so she's so here's the thing. So Jacob, there's I'm sorry, real quick. Also, I love that she says, "Oh man, it's a bummer, but there's a fun tag though." She's calling out the tags.
And then the tag is, of course, Wong watching something with Madison.
I believe This Is Us. I don't watch that show, but I've heard that it is This Is Us.
I mean, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I didn't see Chrissy Teigen there, so I don't think that's the only one I can recognize from her and Sterling K. Brown.
And of course, she almost spoils it.
Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't think she spoiled. I think he was talking about drinks and stuff on this one.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, she
And
spoiled The Sopranos.
spoil The Sopranos, like talking about the different drinks that Wong's had. Like he said, his favorite drink is gin and tonic, left over from a wedding or something.
Oh no! He said there was a. He said that they basically that he tried something vodka and yak milk. Never again. He says, "Oh, can I try some? Oh yeah, it's from the wedding. I got some left over from the wedding."
Like, but what wedding though?
I think some people think I don't know why this would have been there, but some people think it was Christine Palmer's wedding, but Wong wasn't invited. Then again, remember he was invited to Tony Stark's wedding.
That is true.
But how long ago? How long do you think that vodka yak milk keeps, though?
I mean, vodka does. I mean, I know for a fact vodka doesn't spoil because it's alcohol. But
Really? Oh yeah, right. Yeah, it's the whole thing. Like vodka doesn't freeze, and yeah.
well, I mean, maybe it does spoil. Maybe it doesn't go bad eventually, but I know it keeps for a while anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Like that would have like the wedding, Tony Stark's wedding happened during the blip. So
So that's at least at least depending on when the wedding happened,
I mean, minimum
it's within that 5 year period.
could have been like 3 to 4 years ago.
Yep. So who knows what wedding he's talking about? Because I doubt it. Because if he then obviously he didn't get married to Madison because obviously they would have mentioned that.
Well, yeah, yes, Jacob. I think probably what it was, if it wasn't Tony Stark's wedding, it wasn't Christine Palmer's wedding. Like Doctor Strange brought some to her wedding somehow. It was probably just he probably married or officiated some sorcerers getting married, like in Comertage potentially.
But yeah, that's what I was most likely leaning towards.
Yeah, maybe the Minotaur guy got married.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We need to figure out what this wedding is.
Yeah, well. Oh, by the way, speaking of stuff we speculated on, I want to correct us. We made a mistake last episode.
Yeah, what was it?
Yeah, so the whole remember our whole farm runner with Blonsky?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got something really wrong there. So they actually did address that. No, Blonsky isn't actually farming. He is like a meditation, it'll be like a meditation farm.
Oh, but still, yeah.
Yeah,
There's still fun. There's still fun speculation.
No, for sure it was fun, but yeah, so they did actually address that.
Or the timeline is all messed up and strange that Klee got married.
Well, again, Doctor Strange does get married to her, so that's I don't know. I don't know.
Like,
I mean, it could. There's a chance we could just be taking place after Doctor Strange 3, but we didn't. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
So speculation. So
It's like,
it sounds. Yeah.
What kind of meditation does Blonsky doing on his farm?
It was gonna be something where he's gonna be like, he's kind of like leading the meditation with his wives in a circle, very Manson-y.
Well, we know he can't do it with his abomination form.
No, he can't. To be hysterical visual though, but no, he can't.
Like, can you imagine Abomination doing yoga?
God, sadly, yes.
It'd be a sight to see. I mean, we saw the Hulk doing yoga. Now,
Saying, can you imagine one of these like little kind of like courthouse renderings of the Hulk and the Abomination doing like kind of like a joint like yoga class, and She-Hulk with like the three kind of our three Hulking characters doing yoga with Abomination leading the class.
Oh god,
that'd be funny.
That's speculation.
All right, so here's something.
Not sure if it makes sense for this episode, but as you mentioned, Abomination, I'm surprised he isn't in Thunderbolts.
Yeah, so without getting into, there's gonna be a D23 thing soon that Tiki and I'll be talking and breaking down all the news there.
Yeah.
But
Beware.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Regardless, yeah. So I did hear the Thunderbolts news. So yeah, apparently the speculation was indeed true, Jacobs. All those people they threw out were that was the actual team lineup. I don't know if you mentioned Zemo or not. He is not seen on that poster, so I don't. I'm hoping Zemo's included, but he's not on the poster. But that's the thing.
Who knows?
Abomination.
Maybe Zemo will be the antagonist, or he'll join in later.
I possibly. I don't know. But
Because they didn't see. I keep forgetting Julia Louis Dreyfus's name.
Contessa.
Contessa, the Contessa. We never saw her talking to Zemo. So,
No, we didn't.
but she has Captain.
She approved of his actions, though. We saw her talk about Zemo. She never, met him.
But she has both. But she has both the U.S. agent and the Winter Soldier on her side.
That's the thing, and that's you gotta remember. Like Zemo would really look down upon. We have a third super soldier. We have a Red Guardian.
Yep, two from the U.S. Two from the U. Well, technically, if you count where he was turned to the Winter Soldier, you have the
Two
U.S.
Russians and an American.
You have two Russians and an American. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Well, and then you have like Black Widows, who was also Russian. So a lot of Russians on this team.
It's like,
Had
yeah.
Blonsky been, it would have been almost all Russian. Think about it. Oh my God, think about this, Jake. It would have been almost all Russian characters, with the exception of Ghost.
It's almost, yeah.
I think because technically, unfortunately, I think they're going with a female version of Taskmaster, which from Black Widow, which kind of bums me out. But Russian.
And she was, yeah, that was like one of the weakest parts of Black Widow.
See, I was really hoping the idea is like someone else would put on the Taskmaster outfit and have like the whole computer programs of like memorizing all the moves and stuff, but that is not the case. I'm hoping if Deadpool uses Taskmaster, that's what we're gonna do. Like, just we're gonna do a proper version of Taskmaster. But if they're gonna put Taskmaster on the Thunderbolts, being that Taskmaster, I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, we didn't get any Deadpool news either.
That bummed me up. Again, we're drifting off focus here.
Yeah, I know we need to get back to speculating She-Hulk.
So we did have something confirmed, seemingly. I don't know if it was just around the D23. He was there. Charlie Cox, I think, was at D23. I know D'Onofrio was, and the point is, Charlie Cox. Long story short, it sounds like Daredevil's only going to be in one episode of She-Hulk versus the three that we thought it could have been up to. And I could be wrong there. That's what it sounds like. Now, in terms of when that episode is, I got two theories. It's either next episode or episode 7.
All right.
Here's why. Now, they put out like a little mid-season trailer. Now, of course, mid-season trailer could be any of the remaining episodes, so it doesn't necessarily mean that next week, but I think a lot of people are jazzed out of their minds, and like myself, hoping, maybe next week. So maybe this coming week. Because think about it, she is an illegal jam. If she wanted a lawyer to help her out, there's Daredevil. But then again, why would he go all the way, from New York to California?
Maybe somebody recommended him.
That is true. So that's the thing. Unless she,
And I do have. I don't. Forgive me if you don't know this, but are lawyers allowed to go to different states to practice law, or do they have to specifically look for the state that they're in?
Well, that's the thing. They're barred in the state that they're in. I don't believe. It's kind of like this. When you pass the bar, you pass the bar in the state that you are licensed to practice in. Now, I've seen some stories. I don't know how authentic they are in like films and television stuff, in which lawyers are taken out of their element and they are allowed to be the lawyers in their own cases. But I don't know how much of that is like them just kind of like, hey, do you want to represent yourself? And they're doing it against the advice of the judge or anything. Or
I think Aid March has an answer.
Like, what was he got?
You can get pro hot advice admission in other states, or some states have reciprocity.
There you go.
It's like so technically you can get permission to practice law in other states.
Exactly. So I think it depends on the state. I imagine if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say New York and California are probably on good terms, so you can probably be the same deal. But that's a guess.
Pro hot advice is temporary admission.
Exactly. So it's a.
Thank you, Aid March, for your legal expertise.
Oh, there you go. Okay. It's funny how many lawyers we know, because you got Rohit and we have Aid March apparently.
Wait, Rohit's a lawyer?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
I knew he had Daredevil as his avatar, but
yeah,
I didn't know that he was actually a lawyer.
I know another lawyer. He's not personally, but Dan Torrey from Geekvolution. He is also a lawyer. But yeah.
What do you know?
Anyway,
I didn't know Rohit was a lawyer.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, I know he's I know he's studying to be a lawyer. I'm pretty sure. I think he's I think he's fully licensed. I think he's become a lawyer since we've talked. I know the point being he's either on the track of being a lawyer or he's a lawyer. The point being the law is the guy's deal. So,
California often stands on its own when it comes to admission.
huh?
I said, thank you, Ed March, for your legal expertise.
There you go. Anyway, so the reason I'm thinking seven of the bunch. So again, it's either yep, drown the lawyers. Yeah, too many lawyers around here.
Well, I mean, we are talking about a show about lawyers, so.
Absolutely makes sense. So anyway,
Hey,
so again,
speaking of which, I'm honestly surprised Rohit didn't mention any of that when he was on here. Wait,
listen,
Rohit?
he hasn't been on for this show
Oh,
yet.
wait, I was thinking of Mutale.
Yeah.
Sorry, I misunderstood. I misremembered there for a moment. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we're trying to save Rohit for a very specific episode, assuming it happens. Either
The,
I'm
the Daredevil episode.
exactly, yeah. So that's what we're kind of saving our buddy for.
Well, now I can see why he's such a big fan of Daredevil.
Yeah. So anyway, episode 5 is just based on like the little mid-season thing, which it's not really a big surprise because we know he's going to show up at some point, but now it's looking like it's going to be a one and done, but an amazing episode when he does show up. 5 could be the episode, but then again, if they want to build on the Wrecking Crew thing, like perhaps if they are working for the Kingdom, which by the way, we got another revelation at some point for the Captain America movie, we are getting the leader back into the MCU. So the leader is on the table. So in theory, he could appear in this to set him up for that movie.
Tim Blake Nelson's back.
Yep, Tim coming back and everything, not a recast. It's full on Tim Blake Nelson. So I mean, I think the odds are looking good for the leader being the guy going after the Hulk blood, which will probably be like a setup for Captain America: New World Order, if I'm a betting man. But still could be Kingpin.
Who's the Hulk enemy? That's the giant brain.
Well, I think you're thinking of the leader. That's essentially he has a big head, so he's.
Yeah.
Is that what you're thinking of? Like he wears like a little, he's like a big green head, so he's kind of a brain.
All right, I guess so. Yeah.
All right. So that's the leader. That's why his head was all becoming huge at the end of the Incredible Hulk. So he's becoming the.
But why episode 7 then?
Well, that's the thing. So in general, 5, if we're just going to build on the pack of just okay, she's going to call in Daredevil for the legal problem that she now faces, because a lawyer who represents himself as a fool. That's kind of the old adage. So she would find she'd get like who's the best Marvel lawyer you can get to help you in this sort of thing. Well, it's Matt Murdock. So 7 has a writer on it, a comic book writer on it, Zeb Wells, who has written Daredevil, which I find rather interesting. Oh God, if we're gonna have, if any of these episodes is gonna have Daredevil in it, that is not episode 5. I mean, I'm thinking 7, who has Zeb Wells writing for it, is gonna be. He's writing Spider-Man right now. He's writing. He's writing Spider-Man right now. I think he wrote maybe Batman for a brief spell, but he's primarily Daredevil and Spider-Man. So I'm saying if any episode's going to have Daredevil in it that is not the next one, it's going to be that episode.
That'd be nice.
I mean, it's going to be a big missed opportunity if it's not the Daredevil episode. If I'm saying if he doesn't show up in 5 and he just in general, like, if he shows up in like 9, it's like, really? You didn't get you can get Zeb Wells to write Daredevil. It's interesting.
Well, we'll see how that goes with him.
Yeah, Wells is good, by the way. He's not really. There's actually a fun little nod. Like Jen, when she was opening her emails, you saw a bunch of like cases and stuff. And one of them, they had like a lot of comic book writer names. Like Soul was on there. Like Charles Soule, the guy who wrote the She-Hulk run, that really great Daredevil run. He was, he was there, and also because I believe Charles Soule's he's either a lawyer or he knows lawyers, so he has like a very good legal basis for his writing. That's why he was put on She-Hulk and Daredevil, and also, you had Lee versus Byrne for Stan Lee and John Byrne, which is really cute. So, but yes, that's my theory for that. It's funny. Some people have been speculating this, and I absolutely hope it happens. Jennifer Walters might have the hots for Matt Murdock, and I really want to see that. That would be amazing. I would. I'm not really into the shipping or anything, but I'm saying if you're going to ship anything in this life, those two crazy kids together, yes.
Here's Ed March's most latest comment.
Yeah, he did a run. I forget if that's the Vader run I really liked at the top or not, but yeah, he did do a run of Vader. I don't think he's still on it, but yeah. Charles Soule is good. Charles Soule is good.
Hey, is there anything else we need to discuss?
I mean, you tell me, Jacob. Is there anything that comes to mind?
I can't think of anything.
Hmm. Okay, well let's thank the folks for tuning in again next week. Again, we'll see. Next week might be
Thank
the big Daredevil episode. Might just be another good episode.
Aid March and Romello. Thank you.
Yep, and of course, anyone watching this in the aftermath, we thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed the show. All right, that'll do it for us this week. As we holster our remotes till the next installment calls for the draw. Mano y mano, just plus and us.
Binge
Command
buddy.
binge buddy.
Binge buddies.